you use the word doubt yourself there. What's your journey been with self-doubt? People would obviously look at you and assume that you have zero self-doubt because you've been so successful at what you've done.
I think all creative people and people who have creative pursuits in their life have self-doubt. Like, it's impossible to put yourself out there, I think, from my experience and from meeting all the creative people I've met in my life, from people who, it's their first day on set, and they have one line, to Steven Spielberg. They all have self-doubt. They're all worried people won't like what they're doing, that people are going to think it's stupid, that they're going to think they're stupid for wanting to do it, that they're going to just reject it and by proxy reject them. That is from my experience pretty constant across the board for all creative types who genuinely care about what they do. I'm sure there are some people who technically are maybe actors or something and do not have any of that, but they're probably not very good and don't care that much about what they do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But in general, from my experience, I would say that applies to creative people, is self-doubt. And for me, it comes in waves. You make a thing everyone likes, gets a little better. You make a thing everyone fucking hates, it gets a little worse. And that's a part of also doing what I do, is you get it's funny. I was saying to someone I work with the other day, I'm at the point, it's funny in my career where not a lot of people are in a position to yell at me in my job, but the New York Times will publish an entire article saying I suck at my job. And so that's the trade-off, is I've worked my way up to not having to deal with that much personal conflict and face-to-face conflict, but I will have a cultural institution tell everyone that I suck, And so that's kind of that will add self-doubt, things like that, and so it's for me. It's for me something that's present, but I try not to let it stop me from doing the things that I think are interesting and the things that I think I would enjoy watching.
Has it ever hurt you?
Oh yeah. I mean, what self-doubt? I'd say lack of self-doubt has maybe hurt me at times.
I mean, the criticism, someone.
Oh yeah, of course it hurts everyone. Yes, very much so. I think if most critics knew how much it hurt the people that made the things that they are writing about, they would second guess the way they write these things. It's devastating. It takes years. I know people who never recover from it. Honestly, decades of being hurt by, because it's very personal. It is personal. And so it is devastating when you are being institutionally told that your personal expression was bad. That is devastating, and something that people carry with them literally their entire lives. And I get why. It fucking sucks.
I was reading through various moments in your life where, you've had back-to-back-to-back successes, so it's hard to find something
That's definitely not true.
No, you have. You seem to, from the bird's eye view, you look at your work, your portfolio, and you go,
I've been trending well.
Yeah, you've been trending well. The thing you talk about, and you've spoken about in interviews, is Green Hornet, where you received some critical reviews for that. Can you zoom me, if I was a fly on the wall in one of those moments where you've received that feedback is coming in and it's coming in, critically, what would I see if I was a fly on the wall in your home? Do you stay in your bed? Do you what's the human impact it has on you?
It's different things. And I think there's different, and that's another funny thing about making movies is and having and just being a person who works a lot is life goes on. You could be making another movie as your movie is bombing, which is a funny thing because it's bittersweet because you know that things will be okay. You're already working. You know what I mean? If the fear is the movie bombs and you won't get hired again, well, you don't have to worry about that. You've been hired. It's too late. but it's an emotional conundrum at times, just dealing with that and navigating that, for Green Hornet, it's fine. Literally, yeah, like the critics the reviews were coming out and it was pretty bad and people just kind of like hated it. Like it seemed like a thing people just were taking like joy in disliking a lot. You know what I mean? But it opened to like $35 million, which was like, I think at the time, the biggest opening weekend I'd ever been associated with in any capacity. And so it was also like, it did pretty well. And it was a funny thing where it really didn't, that one, and that's what's nice sometimes is like you do get, you can grasp for some sense of success at times, but I honestly think things like The Interview were more like painful as far as like people really taking joy and talking shit about it and really kind of questioning, the types of people that would want to make a movie like that in general. Like, I think, yeah, that felt far more personal. I think Green Hornet felt like I just had fallen victim to like, which was true. Like, a big fancy thing, which was like a superhero. And we were just kind of like, also like ahead of the curve a little bit too much, I think, as well, to some degree. Like we were early on that wave, And so I think that was easier to deal with in a lot of ways because it was like, not so much like a creative failure on our parts, but more like a conceptual failure. I think like The Interview, people more treated us like we had creatively failed, which sucked much worse. And that's happened a few times, yeah, where people really act like we've just... and again, I'm not going to act like this is that bad. Like this is not, on the grand scale of things in life, it's not that bad. And I've gotten much better at dealing with it as well. And I think when I was younger, I really did not have as much perspective as I do. And now I do not carry it with me nearly as much as I used to, yeah.
It's like, it is the center of your world though, these things, because you've poured your creative heart into something. So it is you. It's
yes. It feels like a personal rejection.
It's like
very much
attached to yourself.
Oh yeah. It feels like a very personal rejection. And it doesn't feel like constructive. It feels.
What's the human impact there? What's like the human?
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes you try different things. Sometimes you go out to dinner where you just try to forget about it. Sometimes you sit there and watch movies. Sometimes you're literally just like sitting on the couch, fucking pissed and devastated. I've had different approaches. Sometimes I would go to the beach. I used to have a house on the beach, and I would go to the beach the weekends when movies came out. Any opening weekend, honestly, and any time I have a thing coming out, it sucks because it just is stressful. It's like birth, which is just an inherently painful process. Even though it is maybe bringing something beautiful into the world, it is a painful act. And I think that is like what releasing a movie is for the people who made it, is like, in some ways, it's inherently painful.